Here's one in English, after the request of many English-speaking friends. As I teach, I often come across some questions which stimulate the mind. One of them was a young lady who asked me, "Sir, do you believe in reincarnation?" She asked me the other day, inspired by her recent reading on Hinduism and its afterlife theories. "What can I say, Mary?" I replied. "Anything is possible. Even Plato makes reference to the transitional stages that a soul must experience to eventually leave the material world to reconnect with its heavenly source. Pythagoras and the school of Orpheus also allude to the perpetuation of a soul from one body to the next." "It's a theory," I said. "Well," she responded, "but sir, how can such a body-to-body transition take place when only 2,000 years ago the human population of our planet was not even 1/10 of today's numbers? Where did all the souls of today's existing humanity come from?" Obviously, my answer had far from satisfied the inquisitive nature of the student. And stunned by her acumen, I was rather speechless indeed. Before I could process any kind of viable reply, little Vasilis, a young boy of about 14, shot out with an answer that baffled all of us. I know, sir. 2,000 years ago, there used to be many, many more animals on the planet." An outburst of laughter shook the whole class. But that which followed culminated into something that I simply had to publish here, for the sake of entertainment, or, if anything else, the revelation of a disturbing possibility that concerns us all. Seizing the opportunity to assign the subject as a class essay, I dare say that the harvested material not only echoes theories from antiquity to the present, but also a novel hypothesis that may very well explain many an unpleasant present-day social phenomena. Here is the abstract of my students' conclusions after they had conducted some erudite study. Just as dead leaves fall from a tree, decompose, and return as fertilizer, either to the tree or to the grass or into the grazing animals, so is everything in nature, whether tangible or intangible, recycled. I could contest that. Nothing is lost. Our bodies are no exceptions. To say that the organic substances constituting our present forms once composed dinosaurs and have reached us through nature's recycling process is scientifically indisputable. Now, if we also accept that the nervous system of every living creature hosts and processes the energy we call a soul, as this energy is recycled, it may very well be enriched with the experiences of its incarnate career. In fact, latest medical research is now revealing that what is called cellular memory. Following successful transplants, it seems that many recipients of vital organs inherit many personality traits and behavioral tendencies of their donors. It is possible, therefore, that when the Darwinian evolution of the species produced humanoids, the soul, quote-unquote, soul energy that was gradually passed on to them from the animal kingdom underwent gradual cultivation through a more advanced nervous system. The savagery of primary human populations may possibly be attributed to the animal origins of their initial psychosynthetic substance, bearing the memory of basic instincts devoid of what we call the emotional intelligence and sensitivities that were to be gradually cultivated after a series of human-to-human transitions. This means that every time a soul passed from individual to individual, it would be empirically enriched through its own experiences. Subsequently, human groups comprised of refined souls bearing the memory of many human experiences would excel in language, art, and intellectuality, and eventually establish flourishing civilizations. It seems that the high civilization of classical Greek antiquity is a direct result of such enriched souls as those of philosophers, artists, and men of letters who left nothing unanswered around the human experience, and which is simply confirmed today through studies, be they scientific or social. Back then, however, in those days, due to the lack of modern means of transport, and therefore mobility, there was no indiscriminate admixture to society, giving the members of each city-state time to ferment into high culture, unlike in today's multicultural cities that do not provide the feeling of security for their members to get together, to mingle and share high thoughts. This meant that those possessing old souls would, after a fashion, exercise cultural influence on the local human masses whose psychosynthesis had been freshly imported from the animal kingdom, and who had a predilection for dogmatically, if not fanatically, adhering to a favorite team, persona, or deity. They even deified people in the flesh. Since, by doing so, with a sense of belonging to a group of team, they felt less confused by the sophisticated, to them formidably chaotic world they were to develop in. Animalistic behavior, dogmatic behavior, was thus somewhat restrained by laws, and, for the most part, by religious dictates. However, even if the fear of God does curb one's beastliness or ignorance, at some point, the drastic increase of God-fearing people drove civilization to a state of darkness. Schools of philosophy were shut down. The Olympics were abolished. Witches were burnt at the stake. And those who clung on to ethnic identities were persecuted. Hence the reference of the Middle Ages as the Dark Ages. Notwithstanding a few sparks of light, such as the Renaissance, which in itself was an attempt by old souls fleeing Byzantium as the Turks settled in, and settling in northern Italy to revive Greek thought, the exponential increase of human forms that were to displace the corresponding number of animals not only perpetuated this darkness, but is now also threatening the very existence of civilization on the planet. A natural consequence of neo-humans who function with the basic animal instinct of hedonistic consumption. At this point, one might object by observing that animals only consume what is necessary for survival, whilst humans are compelled to consume without restraint by gluttony and hedonism. The answer is that the latter vices are natural consequences of the animalistic souls now functioning within an advanced nervous system of these neo-humans, which affords them the dangerous element of uncultivated imagination. Is there any hope? Things do look grim when one considers that the expansion of the neo-human species is such that it not only threatens the environment, but also nowadays, more than ever before, threatens the very existence of many animals, driving more and more animals into extinction. Ethnic cultures are no exception, it seems, since dogmatic humanoids are violently forcing themselves in great numbers upon more advanced civilizations, wreaking havoc in their wake. So, there you have it, my friends. Whilst the whole subject in class arose through an innocent question, leading to a quasi-scientific, quasi-philosophical, albeit amusing, conclusion, the possibility of such a truth justifies more than any other possible theory the ongoing decadence of our civilizations. And by embracing this theory, one need no longer wonder about wars, hooliganism, anarchy, mass migration, the degeneration of the arts, and the thousands of curses that plague modern humanity, much less the interfan head-bashing with ripped-out football stadium seats that we see so often in football fields. However, there certainly is one bright side to all this. If reincarnation does exist, there is no reason to lament, to feel sad over the extinction of animals throughout the planet, since they not only live and reign amongst us today in human forms, but they are also taking their revenge, even if unwittingly, for their untimely death and the destruction of their former habitats by the ever-expanding, uncultivated neo-human race. And here we have the epitome of poetic justice. The revenge of the animals is levied on the very civilizations that have killed them. Thank you for listening.